Good morning, everyone. As past president, I continue to be a member of council and OAB, all with the purpose of supporting both President Morley as well as council. The role of past president includes the function of chair of several different committees, and I'd like to quickly take a look at those committees. The first one here being Policy Committee. Northern Region Councillor Andy Dryland and I, along with some support from staff, make up the Policy Committee. Together, we've identified those policies that require updating, some simply due to the age of the policy, and others to ensure that they properly align with the conditions that are in our still relatively new bylaw 19. In addition, there have been several new topics that have emerged, such as ensuring safeguarding of children at OACETT-sponsored events, or reviewing policies for investment of OACETT's reserves. Our policy needs have been prioritized, and we've begun drafting to update them. A draft policy, the normal process, a draft policy is first circulated to key members of staff, followed by consideration by OAB, and finally they're submitted to council for their review, for modification, and ultimately for their approval before they become active. President Morley, President-elect Vandenberg, and myself in the role of chair form the Human Resources Committee. A primary function of our committee is to carry out the annual performance assessment of our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. David Thompson. And this includes both a review of target achievements from the previous year, as well as the establishment of targets for the upcoming year, and opportunities for development of interest to David. And while it's Chief Executive Officer, his sole responsibility to deal with staff-related matters, he is very diligent in keeping the Human Resources Committee informed. The nominating committee is made up of past presidents David Saunders and Robin Dunn, and many of you here will know, and myself again as chair. As you're no doubt aware, our main job is to work to find qualified candidates for all of the council and chapter positions at election time. This, however, also encompasses consideration and recommendation of candidates for committees and to fill vacancies that happen between the elections. Speaking of elections, a little commercial here. Speaking of elections, nominations will be accepted this fall for council positions for the 2015 to 2017 term. I would both invite as well as encourage all of you to consider seriously a role on council and to not wait until the last minute. I'm available to discuss this with any and all of you at any time, and there are opportunities for mentoring that would go along with that, so please give it serious consideration. This past year, we introduced a student counselor as a one-year pilot project. Students, of course, are an important segment of our association membership, and they have a different perspective and insight to offer. This past year was considered a big success, and council has selected a student for this council position for the next year. Another committee, the AIDO Department Review Steering Committee, is made up of Hilary Tidaldi, our Chief Administrative Officer and Secretary Treasurer, Sam DiGiandomenico, our Director of AIDO and our Registrar, and David Thompson, our Chief Executive Officer, and myself as co-chairs. AIDO, as many of you will know, has been upgrading its database and systems to accommodate online applications and file reviews. AIDO was also looking to ensure that the smart use of resources, that the application process, review, and communications were efficient, and that the appropriate customer service assistance is provided. With the assistance of an outside consultant, they reviewed current processes, skills required, workload balance, roles and responsibilities, supporting technology, and automation opportunities. To take advantage of these opportunities for improvement, a steering committee has been formed to consider the consultant's findings and to implement over a defined period of time those recommendations that are considered appropriate. The goals of the steering committee are to, one, identify and recommend the most appropriate system that adds value to the activity, ensure that the technology will be used as much as possible, and that the certification system is the system of record. Number 2, to ensure a smooth, quote, seamless integration with the other aspects of OACETT. And number 3, to maintain and enhance the service to our members and applicants. The steering committee will assess and analyze the findings, the conclusions, and the recommendations that have been presented, and will develop an action plan. This plan will address issues facing AIDO, define a course of action to achieve the stated goals, and will identify and mitigate any impacts on the other aspects and areas of OACETT. Ladies and gentlemen, progress in all of these areas contribute to our culture, our shared beliefs and values, and to our success. Thank you very much. I'll now turn the floor over to PSB Vice Chair Chris Van Dock.